I was pulling into the parking garage of my therapist's office when my phone lit up with a text from my college roommate, Dr. Sarah Park. 3 words, all capital letters. Call me now? My hands were shaking as I dialed. Sarah picked up before the first ring finished. Don't go inside, she said. Her voice had that clinical sharpness I'd only heard once before, during her forensic accounting testimony in a federal fraud case. Stay in your car. I'm sending you something right now, and you need to see it before you do anything else. Sarah, what? Marcus filed for emergency guardianship this morning. Rebecca, he's claiming you're mentally incompetent. He has a court date in 72 hours. The parking garage suddenly felt like it was spinning. Marcus, my older brother, the person who'd held my hand at our father's funeral 6 months ago, who'd promised me we'd figure out Dad's estate together, who'd told me I was the strongest person he knew for taking care of our father through 5 years of Alzheimer's. That's insane, I whispered. Why would he? Check your email. I'm sending you a PDF right now. Read pages 12 through 17 first, then call me back. The line went dead. My phone buzzed. One new email from Sarah. Subject line, urgent, review immediately. I opened the attachment with trembling fingers. The document was titled Petition for Emergency Guardianship and Conservatorship, EPCM, Marcus Chen Petitioner, regarding Rebecca Chen, respondent. I started reading. Petitioner states that respondent has exhibited clear signs of mental deterioration over the past 18 months, consistent with early onset dementia similar to that which afflicted their late father, James Chen. Respondent has demonstrated inability to manage her own affairs, including but not limited to erratic spending patterns, bizarre communications with colleagues, and inability to maintain basic self-care. My vision blurred. I scrolled faster. Petitioner submits medical evaluations from Dr. Gregory Walton, psychiatrist, and Dr. Amanda Shore, neurologist, both of whom examined respondent and concluded she lacks capacity to manage her person or estate. I'd never met either of those doctors. I'd never been evaluated by anyone except my regular physician, Dr. Patel, who'd given me a clean bill of health 3 months ago. I kept reading. Petitioner notes that respondent is currently in control of substantial real estate assets inherited from James Chen, including commercial properties valued at approximately $8.2 million. Given respondent's diminished capacity, these assets are at severe risk of mismanagement or loss. My father's properties. The 4 commercial buildings in downtown Portland that he'd spent 40 years acquiring and maintaining, the buildings whose rental income had supported our family, paid for Marcus's MBA, funded my undergraduate degree. The properties Dad had explicitly told me, in his lucid moments during his final year, that he wanted me to have. I trust you, Becca, he'd said, holding my hand in his hospice bed. You took care of me. You'll take care of what I built. I scrolled to page 12, where Sarah had told me to start. Exhibit C, social media evidence. The page showed screenshots from Instagram. Posts by an account called @DianeLifestyle, my sister-in-law's influencer page. The first post was from 4 months ago, a photo of me that I'd never seen before. I was sitting in my car, visible through the window, and my hair was messy, my expression blank. The caption read, "Heartbroken watching my sister-in-law struggle. Family caregiving takes such a toll. Please keep Rebecca in your thoughts. She's been through so much." Number? Mental health matters. Number? Family first? Number? Caregiver burnout. 4,000 likes. Hundreds of comments. Poor thing. She looks so lost. Caregiving can break you. She needs help. I didn't remember Diane taking that photo. When had she even been near me? The next screenshot was from 3 months ago. A video, 15 seconds long. In it, I was standing in the frozen food aisle of a grocery store, apparently talking to myself. The caption, "This is so hard to share, but awareness matters. Rebecca's been having episodes like this more frequently. The early signs look so much like what we saw with her dad, sending strength to everyone dealing with cognitive decline in young people." Number, mental health awareness. Number, early onset dementia. 7,000 likes. But I hadn't been talking to myself. I'd been on my Bluetooth earpiece, on a work call with my assistant director about staffing schedules at the hospital. I remembered that day. I remembered that call. How did Diane get that video? The next page showed more posts. A photo of me in rumpled clothes, apparently walking out of my building at odd hours. A short video of me looking confused in a parking lot. Another photo where I appeared disheveled and disoriented. Each post had thousands of likes, hundreds of concerned comments. Diane positioning herself as the devoted sister-in-law, bravely sharing her worry, building an audience around her concern for me, building a narrative. Page 15 was titled, Digital Evidence of Impaired Judgment. This section showed screenshots of emails sent from my email address to my colleagues at Portland General Hospital, where I'd worked as an administrator for 6 years. One email to the CFO, sent at 3:47 a.m. I can't remember if we discussed the Q3 budget or if I dreamed it. Did we have that meeting? I keep losing track of what's real. Another to my supervisor, sent at 2:15 a.m. I think someone is following me, or maybe I'm imagining it. Is paranoia a symptom? My dad used to think people were following him. A third to the entire administrative team, sent at 4:30 a.m. Does anyone else hear the humming in the walls? It's been keeping me up for weeks. I felt sick. I had never sent these emails. I would never send these emails. But they came from my account. They had my signature block. They referenced real meetings and real people. Someone had access to my email. Someone who knew enough about my work life to make these messages seem plausible. Page 17 showed bank statements, my bank statements, transactions I didn't recognize, $200 to an online gambling site, $500 to a website called psychicanswers.com, $300 to something called Ultimate Wellness Crystals. Small purchases, spread over 3 months, just erratic enough to suggest someone spiraling. I called Sarah back. I never sent those emails, I said. My voice came out strangled. I never made those purchases. Sarah, someone hacked my accounts. I know, Sarah said. She sounded grimmer than I'd ever heard her. Rebecca, this is a sophisticated operation. Someone has had access to your digital life for months. They've been building a case. The emails, the social media posts, the financial transactions, it's all designed to create evidence of incompetence. But why? Why would Marcus— $8 million, Sarah interrupted. That's why. Those properties are worth $8 million, and according to the petition, Marcus already has a buyer lined up, a development company called Pacific Northwest Holdings. They want to tear down your father's buildings and put up luxury condos. Marcus stands to make about $2 million in commission as executor. But he's not the executor. Dad's will. That's the other thing, Sarah said, and now her voice had an edge of barely controlled rage. Marcus attached a will to his petition. A will dated 3 weeks before your father's death, naming Marcus as executor and primary beneficiary. I need you to think very carefully, Rebecca. Did your father change his will right before he died? I closed my eyes. 3 weeks before Dad died, he couldn't sign his own name. He couldn't remember who I was half the time. He'd been in hospice care, heavily medicated, drifting in and out of consciousness. No, I said. He couldn't have. Sarah, he was barely conscious. He definitely didn't have the capacity to execute a new will. Then it's a forgery, Sarah said flatly. And I think I know how to prove it. Rebecca, do you remember your father's safety deposit box at Columbia Bank? Yes, but Marcus has the key. He took it from Dad's things after the funeral. He took a key, Sarah corrected. But your father had 2 keys. He gave me the second one 4 years ago when I helped him set up his estate plan. He told me if anything ever happened to him, I should make sure you got what was rightfully yours. I went to the bank this morning. I opened the box. My heart was pounding. What was inside? Your father's real will. Dated 2 years ago. Properly executed. Properly witnessed. It names you as executor. It leaves you the properties. Marcus gets a cash inheritance of $200,000, but nothing else. Rebecca, your father protected you. He knew what Marcus was capable of. I thought I was going to be sick. There's more, Sarah continued. The box also contained a ledger. Your father had been tracking something. Rental income from the properties that was supposed to be going into a trust account but was being diverted. Rebecca, Marcus has been stealing from your father's estate for at least 2 years. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Where did it go? I'm still tracing it, but some of it went to pay those expert witnesses he has lined up, Dr. Walton and Dr. Shore. They each received $25,000 consulting fees from an LLC that Marcus created. It's not technically illegal to pay expert witnesses, but it's certainly unethical. And the LLC itself appears to be funded with stolen money. My phone buzzed. Text message from Marcus. Hey sis, hope you're doing okay. Still on for lunch tomorrow? Want to talk about Dad's stuff? The hypocrisy of that heart emoji made me want to throw my phone through the windshield. There's something else, Sarah said. Her voice changed, softened. Rebecca, Tyler is in trouble. Tyler, my nephew, Marcus's 15-year-old son. The kid I'd taken to soccer games and helped with algebra homework. The kid who'd cried on my shoulder at his grandfather's funeral. What do you mean? Marcus made Tyler sign an affidavit. It's in the court filing. Tyler swears that he witnessed you exhibiting confused behavior. Talking to yourself. Forgetting conversations. Not recognizing people. Rebecca, Tyler is lying under oath for his father. Something cold settled in my stomach. Marcus is making him do this. I think so, but I don't have proof. Not yet. I sat in my car in the parking garage, surrounded by concrete and the smell of exhaust, and felt the full weight of what my brother had done. The hacking, the fake medical reports, the forged will, the stolen money, the social media smear campaign, the coercion of his own son. He'd spent months building a cage around me, and I hadn't even noticed until the door was closing. What do I do? I asked. We fight, Sarah said. But we have to be smart. The hearing is in 72 hours. That doesn't give us much time. I'm going to need you to do something that's going to feel wrong. What? I need you to act normal. Go about your business. Don't let Marcus know that you know. Don't confront him. Don't tell anyone except me. Can you do that? I thought about my father, about the 5 years I'd spent caring for him, the nights I'd stayed awake listening to him breathe, terrified each breath would be his last, the times I'd held his hand while he forgot who I was, the final lucid moment when he'd looked at me and said, "You're the strong one, Becca. You're the one who stays." I can do that, I said. Good. I'm assembling a team. I have a real estate attorney who specializes in estate fraud. I have a digital forensics expert who can trace the email hacks and financial transactions. And I think I know how to get Tyler to tell the truth. How? Trust me, Sarah said. But I need 48 hours. Can you keep it together for 48 hours? I looked at my phone, at Marcus's text with its lying heart emoji. At the time, display showing I was now 20 minutes late for a therapy appointment I no longer needed because I had bigger problems than the anxiety I'd been trying to process. Yes, I said. The next 48 hours were the longest of my life. I went to work, smiled at colleagues who'd received those fake emails from my account. Had a meeting with my supervisor where she gently asked if I was doing okay and mentioned that I should take care of myself. I could see the concern in her eyes, the doubt. The fake emails had done their job. I had lunch with Marcus. He met me at a cafe in the Pearl District, all smiles and concern. He hugged me, asked about my therapy, talked about how hard the past 6 months had been, dealing with Dad's death, managing the estate. He mentioned, casually, that he'd been talking to some developers who were interested in the properties. Just preliminary conversations, he said, stirring his coffee. But Becca, I think we should consider it. The market is hot right now. We could sell, split the proceeds, and you'd never have to worry about money again. You could take some time off, travel, rest. I nodded along. Agreed it was worth considering. Watched my brother lie to my face while wearing Dad's old watch. You look tired, Marcus said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. Are you sleeping okay? Some nights are harder than others, I said. It wasn't a lie. You know Diane and I worry about you, he continued. You've been through so much. All those years taking care of Dad. That kind of stress, it changes people. It changed Dad. And I just want to make sure you're taking care of yourself. He was so smooth, so convincing. If I hadn't known what he was doing, I might have believed he actually cared. I appreciate that, I said. You're a good brother. The lie tasted like poison on my tongue. That evening, I got a text from Sarah. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Office of Judge Patricia Morrison. Be ready. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I dressed carefully. Professional gray suit, hair pulled back. Minimal makeup. I wanted to look competent. Stable. Nothing like the disheveled woman in Diane's Instagram posts. I arrived at the courthouse at 1:45 p.m. Sarah was waiting in the hallway with 2 other people. A severe-looking woman in her 50s who Sarah introduced as Janet Fletcher, the estate attorney, and a younger man with glasses who she identified as David Chen, no relation, the digital forensics expert. Where's Marcus? I asked. Inside with his attorney, Janet said. She had the kind of voice that suggested she didn't lose cases often. Rebecca, I want to prepare you. This is going to get ugly. Your brother has a very expensive lawyer, and they're going to say terrible things about you. Don't react. Let me handle it. At 2 p.m., we entered the courtroom. Judge Morrison was a black woman in her early 60s with silver-streaked hair and eyes that looked like they'd seen every con game in the book. She studied me as I sat down at the respondent's table, her expression unreadable. Marcus sat across the aisle with a man in a $3,000 suit. My brother caught my eye and gave me a small, sad smile. Like he was doing this for my own good. Like it hurt him as much as it hurt me. Diane sat in the gallery behind him, phone in hand, probably ready to live stream her brave support of her husband's difficult decision. And next to her, looking miserable, was Tyler, my nephew. His eyes were red, and he wouldn't look at me. "All rise," the bailiff announced. Judge Morrison took her seat and opened the file in front of her. She read silently for a long moment, then looked up. "This is an emergency guardianship petition," she said. "Mr. Ashford, you represent the petitioner. Counselor Fletcher, you represent the respondent. Mr. Ashford, this is your petition. Make your case." Marcus's attorney, Ashford, stood. He was exactly the kind of lawyer you'd expect someone to hire for something like this. Silver-haired, expensive suit, voice like melted butter. "Your Honor, this is a tragic situation. Marcus Chen comes before this court not as an adversary to his sister, but as someone who loves her deeply and is desperately concerned for her welfare." I felt Sarah's hand on my arm, steady, grounding. Ashford continued, "The evidence before this court is overwhelming. Dr. Walton's psychiatric evaluation, Dr. Shore's neurological assessment, the documented social media evidence of Miss Chen's declining condition, the erratic emails sent to her colleagues, the concerning financial transactions, and perhaps most heartbreaking, the sworn testimony of her own nephew, Tyler Chen, who has witnessed his aunt's deterioration firsthand." He gestured to Tyler, who shrank in his seat. "Your Honor, Miss Rebecca Chen is a danger to herself and to the substantial estate she currently controls. Her father worked his entire life to build something, and in her current condition, she is at risk of losing everything. Mr. Chen simply asks this court to protect his sister and honor their father's memory by granting this emergency guardianship." Ashford sat down. He looked satisfied, like he'd just delivered a closing argument in a slam-dunk case. Judge Morrison turned to Janet Fletcher. "Counselor?" Janet stood. She moved with the deliberate precision of a surgeon making the first incision. "Your Honor, what we have before us is not a concerned brother trying to help his sister. What we have is a sophisticated criminal conspiracy involving identity theft, forgery, fraud, and the abuse of a minor child to perpetrate that fraud." Ashford shot to his feet. "Objection! Your Honor, this is completely inappropriate." "Overruled," Judge Morrison said mildly. "I'll hear it. Continue, Counselor Fletcher." Janet pulled a document from her briefcase. "Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence the last will and testament of James Chen, dated November 15th, 2022, properly executed and witnessed, retrieved yesterday from his safety deposit box at Columbia Bank. This is the real will. The document attached to Mr. Marcus Chen's petition is a forgery." The courtroom went very quiet. Janet continued. "The real will names Rebecca Chen as executor and leaves her the commercial properties in question. Marcus Chen receives a cash inheritance of $200,000. The will attached to the petition, allegedly executed 3 weeks before Mr. James Chen's death, is signed with a signature stamp that Marcus Chen had access to. Mr. James Chen was in hospice care at that time, heavily medicated and lacking testamentary capacity. He could not have executed this will." Ashford was on his feet again. "Your Honor, this is a baseless accusation." "I have the hospice records," Janet said calmly. She pulled out another document. Mr. James Chen's morphine dosage during the relevant period. His medical notes indicating severe confusion and loss of cognitive function. The statement from his hospice nurse that he was unable to sign his own name in the final month of his life. "Your Honor, the forged will is notarized by a Thomas Patterson, who happens to be Marcus Chen's golf partner and business associate. We'll be requesting a handwriting analysis and an investigation into Mr. Patterson's notary practices." I watched the color drain from Marcus's face. Judge Morrison leaned forward. "Continue." "The fake medical evaluations," Janet said, pulling out more documents. Dr. Walton and Dr. Shore both received $25,000 payments from an LLC controlled by Marcus Chen. Rebecca Chen has never met either doctor. She has never been evaluated by either doctor. We have a statement from her actual physician, Dr. Patel, confirming that Miss Chen is in excellent mental and physical health. She pulled out another stack of papers. The social media posts. My colleague, Mr. David Chen, the forensics expert, has analyzed the metadata on these images and videos. Many were taken without Miss Chen's knowledge or consent. Some were edited to remove context. The video showing her talking to herself was actually Miss Chen on a business call via Bluetooth earpiece. We have the phone records to prove it. Judge Morrison was taking notes now, her expression growing darker. The emails, Janet continued. Mr. David Chen has traced the IP addresses of the emails allegedly sent by Rebecca Chen to her colleagues. They did not originate from her devices. They were sent from a computer belonging to Marcus Chen's IT consultant, a Mr. James Rodriguez, who was paid $15,000 by the same LLC. We have the payment records. Mr. Rodriguez will be facing charges for unauthorized access to electronic communications. And the financial transactions, Judge Morrison asked, also fraudulent. Someone with access to Miss Chen's banking information made those purchases. We're working with the bank to trace them, but the pattern is clear. Small, erratic purchases designed to suggest mental instability, all made during times when Miss Chen can prove she was at work or otherwise accounted for. We have her hospital badge swipes, security camera footage, and colleague testimony. Marcus was whispering frantically to Ashford now. Diane had gone pale. She'd stopped recording. Finally, Janet said, and her voice went cold. There's Tyler Chen's affidavit. Tyler slumped lower in his seat. Your Honor, I'd like to call Tyler Chen to the stand. Ashford objected. Judge Morrison overruled. Tyler walked to the witness stand like a kid walking to his own execution. He was sworn in. He sat down and stared at his hands. Tyler, Janet said gently, did you sign an affidavit stating that you witnessed your Aunt Rebecca exhibiting confused and erratic behavior? Yes, Tyler whispered. Did you witness that behavior? Tyler's eyes filled with tears. He looked at his father. Marcus was staring at him with an expression I couldn't read. Tyler, Judge Morrison said, you're under oath. Answer the question. Tyler's voice cracked. No. The courtroom erupted. Ashford was shouting. Diane stood up. Marcus grabbed his lawyer's arm. Order, Judge Morrison said sharply. Order in this courtroom. She turned to Tyler. Did your father ask you to lie? Tyler nodded, tears streaming down his face. I need you to say it out loud, the judge said, not unkindly. Yes, Tyler sobbed. Dad said if I didn't sign it, he couldn't pay for my college. He said Aunt Rebecca was sick anyway, and this was just to help her. He said it didn't matter because she wouldn't remember any of it. He said, That's enough, Judge Morrison said. She looked at Marcus. Mr. Chen, I'm going to ask you a question, and I strongly suggest you think carefully before you answer. Did you coerce your minor son into giving false testimony? Marcus stood up. Your Honor, I can explain. Yes or no, Mr. Chen? The silence stretched. Marcus looked around the courtroom, at his lawyer, at Diane, at Tyler, at me. I watched him realize that there was no way out. No amount of charm or money or manipulation was going to fix this. I was trying to protect the estate, he said finally. Rebecca isn't capable. That's not what I asked, Judge Morrison said icily. Did you coerce your son into lying under oath? Marcus sat down. He didn't answer. Judge Morrison turned to the bailiff. Call courthouse security. Everything happened very fast after that. Janet presented the financial records showing Marcus had been stealing from Dad's estate for 2 years. The ledger Dad had kept. The diverted rental income. The LLC payments to fake witnesses. The planned sale to Pacific Northwest Holdings that would have netted Marcus $2 million in commission. Judge Morrison ordered Marcus into custody pending a criminal investigation. Fraud, forgery, identity theft, conspiracy, witness tampering. Diane tried to leave. A sheriff's deputy stopped her at the door. Mrs. Chen, Judge Morrison said, you're not going anywhere. Your social media posts are evidence in this case, and I have questions about your involvement in this conspiracy. Diane's face crumpled. All those thousands of followers weren't going to help her now. The judge granted me emergency control of Dad's estate. She ordered a full forensic audit. She referred Marcus and Diane's case to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. And then she asked me to approach the bench. Miss Chen, she said quietly, I'm sorry you had to go through this. Your father clearly trusted you for a reason. This court finds that you are fully competent to manage your own affairs and your late father's estate. Thank you, Your Honor. I managed. She hesitated. There's one more matter. Tyler. I looked back at my nephew, still sitting in the witness stand, still crying. He was coerced, the judge said. He's a minor. He's a victim here too. But he needs stability, and his parents are going to be dealing with criminal charges for quite some time. Do you want custody? I thought about Tyler at 8 years old, asking me to help him build a Lego city. At 12, crying on my shoulder about a girl who didn't like him back. At 15, standing at his grandfather's grave, whispering, "I'm going to miss him so much." "Yes," I said. "I want custody." Judge Morrison nodded. "I'll have the paperwork drawn up." 2 weeks later, Tyler moved into my apartment. He was quiet at first, ashamed, afraid I'd hate him for what he'd done. We sat on the couch one evening, eating takeout, and he finally broke down. "I'm so sorry," he sobbed. "Aunt Becca, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. Dad said he'd cut me off. He said I'd never go to college. He said you wouldn't even remember any of this because you'd be just like Grandpa," and I pulled him into a hug. "Tyler, stop. I know. I know your father manipulated you. I know you were scared. I don't blame you for what happened, but I lied about you. I signed that paper that said you were crazy. You also told the truth when it mattered," I said. "You told the truth when it was hard." That took more courage than anything else that happened in that courtroom. He cried for a long time. I held him and thought about my father and how family was supposed to protect you, not prey on you. Tyler's therapy appointment started the following week. Marcus and Diane were both charged with multiple felonies. Marcus got 12 years in federal prison for fraud, forgery, identity theft, and witness tampering. Diane got 5 years and a $500,000 fine for conspiracy and defamation. Their assets were seized to pay restitution. The IT consultant, Mr. Rodriguez, got 3 years probation and lost his business license. The fake notary, Thomas Patterson, is facing his own charges. Dr. Walton and Dr. Shore both lost their medical licenses for accepting payment to provide fraudulent evaluations. The properties stayed mine. I hired a management company to handle them. The rental income now funds a scholarship in my father's name for students who've had to take time off school to care for sick family members. Tyler will be the first recipient when he starts at Portland State next fall. Diane's Instagram was deleted after the conviction. Her sponsorships evaporated. Her followers got the truth. Eventually, not from her, but from news coverage of the trial. The concerned sister-in-law persona was just another con. I never did make it to that therapy appointment 6 months ago. I suppose I should reschedule. There's probably something worth processing about discovering your brother tried to steal everything from you and declare you insane. But I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Tyler is thriving. He's got a girlfriend now, and he's on track to graduate with honors. Last week he called me Mom by accident, and then got embarrassed. But I told him it was fine. Whatever he wants to call me is fine. I visit my father's grave every month. I tell him about Tyler's progress, about the scholarship fund, about how the buildings he spent his life building are still standing, still generating income, still doing good. "You were right, Dad," I say. "I am the strong one. I am the one who stays." Last week, I got a letter from Marcus. It was sent from the federal prison in Sheridan, Oregon. He wanted to apologize. He said he'd made mistakes. He hoped someday I could forgive him. I read it twice. Then I tore it up. Maybe someday I'll be ready to think about forgiveness. Maybe someday I'll be able to remember my brother as the person who held my hand when I was scared, before he became the person who tried to destroy my life. But not today. Today I'm picking Tyler up from soccer practice. We're going to make dinner together. He's teaching me to make pot stickers, which was Grandpa's favorite. Then we'll probably watch a movie and debate whether the ending was satisfying or not, which is our new tradition. My phone is next to me on the counter. No urgent texts, no capital letters, no crises. Just a message from Sarah, asking if I want to grab coffee this weekend. Just a reminder about Tyler's dentist appointment. Just normal life, finally, after everything. The people you silence become your loudest witnesses. My brother tried to delete my personhood, to make me disappear into a narrative of incompetence and confusion. He tried to take my voice, but the truth spoke anyway. Through Tyler's confession, through Sarah's evidence, through my father's careful planning, through the paper trail Marcus left behind, the truth has a voice of its own. And sometimes, it speaks through the people who had every reason to stay quiet but chose not to. I'm grateful for that. For Sarah, who dropped everything to help me. For Janet Fletcher, who fought like hell. For Tyler, who found his courage. For my father, who trusted me with everything and made sure I'd be protected. And I'm grateful I stayed strong, that I didn't break, that I fought back. Dad was right. I am the strong one. I'm the one who stays.